everybody, welcome back to the Acoustic Shoppe channel. I'm John, and with me always is Jeremy.
Not always, but
You're always here. I wish you weren't, but you are. Today we're going to be doing a highly requested head-to-head comparison between two incredible Dreadnought guitars. It's the legendary Martin D-28 versus the innovative Alvarez Yairi Masterworks DYM70.
These are two guitars that have truly earned their place in the world of acoustic instruments, and today we're going to break them down for you. We're going to give you all the specs, give you in-depth reviews, and then we're going to rate each one in several categories and find out which one wins.
On that hand, there's no reason why it's... So let's talk about the specs here a little bit, Jer. We are going to talk about the Martin D-28 first. Has a price point of $31.99, a Sitka spruce top, rosewood sides and back, Indian rosewood by the way, mahogany neck, 1 3/4 nut width, now with an ebony bridge, ebony fretboard, the gloss nitrocellulose lacquer.
You're doing a good job here doing.
Yeah, you're doing great. Nickel open gear tuners. The head plate is covered in rosewood, and it has a TKL molded hard shell case. Yeah, you get a tortoise type of pickguard, 5-ply binding, black or white. Anyway, it's what it is. Bone nut and saddle now, which is actually a really good add-on. As far as the Alvarez Yairi Masterworks DYM70 that I am holding, I can't do it at the same time. Its price point is at $27.99. It has a AAA grade Sitka spruce top. We don't know what the grade is on the Martin. Indian rosewood sides and back, just like the other. Mahogany neck, inch and 23/32. Boy, that's a 30-second number right there. Ebony direct mount bridge, which is very unique to them. The ebony fretboard. It does have the gloss finish. It does have 510 tuners, the Goto 510 tuners, seal tuners, nice in gold finish. Rosewood head plate as well. Alvarez's hard shell case, which is kind of unique to them. It does have a clear pick guard, which is kind of embedded underneath the finish, very unique. Also has the 5-ply binding and a bone nut and saddle. So you guys might be wondering, what is the point of this video?
I'm wondering that myself.
Well, here's what it is. We wanted to have a comparison of two guitars that are similar in specs, two different price points, different brands.
Two different approaches, the way they're building the
guitars. And how they do, and kind of see what we like, what we don't like about each of them. This is kind of an easy comparison because everybody knows what a Martin D-28. Not everybody, but most of the people who have been in guitar.
Here's what it sounds like.
It sure does sound like a Martin D-28. That's kind of become a standard now. Again, we've talked about the various different aspects of Martin D-28s through the year, but this is the current lineup of a D-28. Rosewood sides and backs, Sitka spruce top. So, you know, that's a Dreadnought that everybody compares to. As far as Yairi, they are now coming in here going, all right, we're going to come in here and do something, in their opinion, better. Now, whether or not that passes, that's going to be your decision. But they definitely took on some things from a lot of higher-end builders, and one of it is a more unique voiced instrument. This does have scallop bracing. That does not have scallop bracing. And I think it's fairly evident. When you strum that guitar, you can kind of tell there's a tighter tone. And here's what I find to be very interesting about that. A lot of people are not as, in tune to that sound as I guess me and you are. There are people who will prefer the sound of a non-scallop braced guitar. There's a character. That guitar, as a D-28, has sat for almost, 50 years of time period where it didn't have a scallop brace at all. That's the sound of a D-28 for 50 years. So yes, we compare it more towards the 1930s and into the 40s, but that is a different sounding guitar, and a lot of amazing music has been made with that sound.
And people associating that sound with this guitar.
Absolutely.
That they grew up listening to. And we've talked a little bit in the past of one of the most, I guess, innovative design features on the Yairi is that bridge system that they've come up with. Some people hate the look of it.
If it didn't remind me of Hulk Hogan, I would probably be totally into it. Not to say anything about Hulk Hogan, but I don't like to think of
just the handlebar. I think more maybe of
a guitar.
Paul Tuttle.
Oh, could be.
Senior.
It still doesn't help it any. Sure. It doesn't help it at all.
Just looks like an angry guitar.
I love this idea though of that inset section down in here and why it doesn't pull on the back of the bridge makes perfect sense to me.
And the greater brake angle over there is supposed to put more downward pressure on the saddle, giving you a lot more volume and resonance. So the design ideas behind it, I agree with, and it seems to actually pan out when we get these guitars in here. They have a unique sound, a very percussive, punchy tone to them. So it is different. It is breaking the mold as far as the way people put bridges on guitars. I guess some people might give them credit for that. Other people may say, why'd you do that to that guitar?
This does have another major upgrade, in my opinion, to the standard D-28 or even the HD-28. Tuning machines, Goto 510 tuners, some of the best out there right now. So again, that's a pretty good advantage.
So another question, John, comparing the two guitars, is the neck joint the same on these? Are they both? I know this is going to be a dovetail joint for Martin.
Of course it is. I'm not positive on this. I'm going to take a look. This seems to be a dovetail joint, Jeremy. So I guess they're very similar in that, which kind of surprised me. Again, a lot of the Japanese, well, not true. The Yamaha guitars are also dovetails until they came out with the FG9. So Japanese guitars still sticking with the dovetail joint, except for the FG9.
And we've talked about in the past that we kind of like that tone that you get out of the dovetail joint.
Maybe that's why I'm digging it.
bolt-on,
I don't know. There you go. Since a lot of the specs seem to be pretty darn close, the price is in the same ballpark. Let's talk about some of the major difference. I mean, the most obvious one is going to be that
This
that
one says Martin on it.
It does say Martin on it, and it is made in Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
This is we've talked about this before. I've coined the phrase OG, the original guitar. This is one of the old, this is one everybody modeled things after all the way back from the turn of the century when they really came out with the Dreadnought body. So you got obviously your original looking and sounding guitar that hasn't gone through major changes as far as this one does. We have gone through some of the changes they have gone through over the years, but this is still fundamentally kind of that iconic Dreadnought guitar.
It also officially lists as a hand-built guitar, and for most part it is, but it's definitely a more mass-produced item than what this particular guitar is. They build a whole lot more of those guitars. That is a core product for Martin. They ship hundreds.
And Martin, to their credit,
those.
has somewhat perfected to streamline being able to grade tops and really figure out the density of the tops using some deflection machines and all that to say, all right, this pile gets braced this way, this pile gets braced that way. They all have they've really perfected that well, where this is going to be more hands-on.
This is a true
hand-voiced
boutique style build. This is a one-on-one with every single piece of wood.
So that means each top, they're going to brace it pretty much the same, but then they scallop them based on that particular
Now, when you
top.
say brace it, they're all bracing in the same locations. It's just they're shaping the braces in slight differences there. So that is definitely a major difference. This one is built in Japan, built in a one-off style factory. I mean, they still are building quite a few of these guitars, don't get me wrong, but it is definitely, I think there's 6 people in the Yairi workshop. It's not a big, giant facility cranking out a lot of guitars. There's also a major cosmetic difference between these. I mean, at that time when the D-28 was created, this was all innovative stuff.
It probably
really
scared
was.
some people.
Yeah, there was some yeah, it was big. This is a whole nother variation of the, a modern take on it. Obviously, we have the bridge change. We have a headstock shape that's different, sealed tuners, where they're really going back for more of a traditional look and character. And that build is, also in here. We're dealing with the scarf joint heel blocks here. Things that are a little bit more modern and accepted. Now, Yairi has kind of gone away from, to the most part, there was a big push at one time for laminated sides and back, deliberate for their actual sonic characteristic. He was really going for the projection of what that would go. We've come to realize, and I think that company has also realized, when it comes to high-end guitar market, really tough to kind of convince people that a laminated back and sides guitar is a premium. So they've kind of gone back to having full solid wood builds that are more to be their boutique level instruments, and I think it's paid off for them pretty well.
So John, I'm going to put the question to you right now that everybody's asking, which one's better?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you next week. It is such a subjective thing to say one's better than the other. It depends on the player, what they're looking for. These are both, I would say, premium sounding guitars.
They are. I can give you my personal opinion. If you were to say, John, what guitar would you take into a recording session? I'm going to have to go, and I know this. I'm going to get tons of heat for this. I would definitely pick this guitar. I am going to be honest with you and tell you The sound that, and again, nothing wrong with it. That's not a character I look for in a guitar that I want to play. I need a little bit more depth to that overall tonality, and I just need that fullness when I'm coming in to a session or just even playing live on stage. It feels better to me. And this guitar is closer to that overall roundness that I really want out of an overall guitar. So again, I know I'm going to get heat. There's nothing wrong with this sound. And that's something I think all of us guitar players need to kind of recognize. Just because you're not into that particular sound does not mean it's a bad guitar or that they don't build great guitars. It has nothing to do with that. There's a tonal characteristic for everybody.
All right, John, the next question that we love to answer, who are these guitars for? Is there a different market for each of these two? I will answer my own question. Great question, Jeremy. I love when people do that in an interview. Great question. Well, thank you. The traditionalists are going to have a problem with that one. We've already seen it. Some people just, they look at just the bridge alone and say, nope, I won't even try it. I don't want to try it. Pickguard, the same thing.
I was one. I was absolutely one. I've got to, you guys had to talk me into even going to the booth when we did it. I'm not going to lie and try to pretend that I am not one of those type of people.
You're a stick
and here's
in the
what's
mud.
really got weird about this. I'm really starting to like this. Like, I really
I told
am.
you that first time
It's,
I
it's
really
very
saw it.
weird, but I'm really like, I need to get me a
He's
guitar.
looking at it right now on the screen
I
going,
am, yeah.
I could grow one of those. That's what I'm
No,
thinking.
it's not that at all. I'm never going to do that.
No, so yeah, I think traditionalists are going to be turned off that. You mentioned, if I had to choose which one I'd play in the studio, I would pick this one. I got to think when you said that, if I had to play one on a stage, whether you would have that perception of, well, can people, will they...
At this age right now, where I just don't give a...
But when you were in your 20s, you probably went, people will judge me if I have that guitar. So traditional might be turned off for that, where the Martin is that tradition. When we say traditional, this is what people are thinking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you want a traditional guitar, it's the D-28. There's
doesn't
no
get more
doubt about
traditional
it.
than that.
So yeah. So who are these for? People looking for a Rosewood Dreadnought. I would say there's two different things that guitar buyers in this price range will find make or break with either. You don't like an 8" 3/4, you're not going to like that. This being slightly smaller and a V shape,
If you're an electric guitar player.
that's an if. Again, what do you like? Some people hate the V shape. I'm starting to really, really like it. So that's probably two of the biggest characteristic things that besides looks, playability. But as far as holding it and the overall of it, I don't think you're going to find that much of a difference. All right, so we're going to do the ratings a little bit different. We're not going to do it in a 1 to 5. We're actually the whole point of this video was let's compare the two, which one wins, in our opinion.
So we give a point to that guitar.
God, this is really going to go over great on the internet. I can't wait till everybody comes in there.
The good thing is nobody else has an opinion. They just want our opinion, and they have no personal thoughts or concerns.
This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to get flamed
What
on
might
this.
be fun is for you guys to do the same as you play along.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
start, John. Tone. Who wins?
For me, I told you this already. If I was picking for tone, it's the Alvarez.
Okay.
For me, that's
And
just my style of sound. That
Scallop
I'm looking
bracing,
for.
the tone, hand tone tuned top,
Yeah.
all those different things. I would agree with you. I think it's got a little bit more punch and sustain. So advantage Alvarez.
There you go. Setup and playability. This is where I'm going to give it to Martin. I'm used to that setup. They do plec them. They're well done. This is a lower setup for me. This is a light gauge type setup. Not necessarily what I would want. Easy to repair, made to fix the way I want it to be. I do actually prefer, I like the neck shape, but I like that 1 3/4 width for me personally, my favorite. I'm gonna go Advantage Martin.
Ooh, this is gonna throw a little wrench in the works, John. I'm gonna pick the Alvarez because I do like the smaller neck because I have a smaller hand, and I like that lower setup because I'm just used to a lighter action. Anyway, I prefer to be able to play a little bit easier, so I'm gonna give it to that one. So I guess a draw on that.
All right, sounds fair. Next one is build quality, and this one is actually tighter than I thought it was going to be. I would have thought, being that it's a full-on boutique build in the Yairi, that I would probably go this way. But they're doing such a great job at Martin these days. You know what? Build quality, I'm going to give it a draw for me.
I would say it's pretty even. I don't see anything. They do different things on that, and they do them well. So I'm going to say, yeah, the build quality is excellent on both of them. I'm going to give it a draws too. So that's another tie.
All right, let's talk about the aesthetics of this. I think this is.
It's gonna be a hard one.
It's not. It isn't. I'm.
As much
I
as
love
it's growing
it.
on you.
It's growing on me, But again, if you're just setting these on 2 stands, the first one I'm going to go to play is going to be that guy. And maybe it's because I'm used to it.
You're biased.
I am less biased than I've probably ever been because I know what's about to come at me when I pull out a Yairi these days. So for me, you know, I probably would give it more of a chance if I walked into a store and just saw it hanging on the rack, because now I'm kind of a little bit more educated. I feel like a little bit more educated. No, but still, I'd still pick.
Yeah, I think we all have our biases, and we grew up watching bluegrass bands play Martins forever, so that's just emblazoned in our memories. So I think if I was walking in a guitar shop, this one would still be the one that catch my eye.
Also, my favorite all-time bluegrass star played a D-28, Elvis Presley. He was pretty amazing.
Hell yeah, with that leather top.
Anyway, sustainability. Martin has made a whole lot of efforts in this, and I also know Yairi has been doing the same in their collection of woods and how they're doing it. So I do find, again, pretty good draw on here. Both of these should pass our shop sustainable mission.
All right, this brings our final category. Who's going to win, John? Who's going to take home which guitar is getting smashed? That's what the folks want to know at home. Overall value.
Again, this one actually...
It's probably harder than initially thought.
Initially I would have said no, there's not a difference. And then I'm thinking, but there's a power to a brand too.
And a U.S. build.
And a U.S. build. And you know, we talk about this. I do this every single day. There are brands. People go out and look at Toyotas and Hondas in their categories now. And at one time, those were considered value brands. And now they're premium brands because of the fact they earned it. Everybody knows the resale value of those vehicles, and there's a power behind that. You have to pay for that. So the same thing's here. This is a power brand. This is when you talk.
There are a few iconic brands out there, Coke and Pepsi and Harley Davidson, that you think of a genre or product category. They're the ones that come to mind. When you think of acoustic guitars, Martin and Gibson are probably the top of the name out there.
Unless it comes to sodas, Dr. Thunder should actually be more expensive than Dr. Pepper. That's the way I believe it.
Let's start another controversy while you're at it.
No, I'm just.
It's going to be a little harder to say overall value. You're getting a lot out of that one with the hand scale bracing, a lot of the extra.
It still is less money. So again, I'm still going to have to give it with everything that you're getting here. If you're just purely going off of the guitar and not putting in the brand power, and
if you don't add the import versus US
in that category, and you're just going off of playability and sound, this is advantage this. It becomes a much more even conversation when we start talking and putting those other factors, which do matter.
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to be a hard one to choose. Again, I probably will have to say draw. If you hit a curtain and I just had to pick a guitar without seeing what it was and giving extra value to it being built in the USA, being a legacy brand, then for what you're getting out of the guitar itself, I would say the Alvarez probably has a better value. When you add those extra complications in there, the wrinkles, if you will,
I'm with you.
then it kind of levels the playing field.
Yep. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a kind of a throwdown, a challenge.
A blind comparison?
I might be blind. I don't know.
Close your eyes.
Are you going to poke your eyes out? Or
you have to close your eyes for this one because the editors are tired.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it
put
anymore.
both these guitars back to back and see what you guys think at home, just based on tone in general, but also put your comments what you think in there. But
here we go. Let's let them fight to the death. I know everybody's going to have a differing opinion on this. Again, I know that there are people that will probably prefer that tone palette versus this one. It's an iconic sound, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. I can't wait to see the review of what we did this based completely on more of a price challenge here, where we're trying to keep a like price point. I know that there is going to be instruments built by Martin that are much closer to this, tones-wise, and even some that aren't. I mean, if we put a D-28 authentic and put it in here, this would be a completely different comparison altogether. So it's not about whether or not Martin versus Yairi. It's about these two models that were at the same price point to see how they stacked up against each other. And I think it was a pretty obvious difference. It's just going to come down to which one you prefer. We do have more guitar video stuff on Yairi. We've done some great stuff. We like their guitars, and we have a video. So if you click this one right here, you can find out more about Alvarez Yairi, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
See you guys next video.